So waves are very different from everyday matter. We've been talking about that for a while now. And we should now start talking about what happens when a wave comes in contact with a surface. What happens when it collides with a solid object? Now, here's 6 images of what could happen. All of these things could happen when a wave collides with an object. Let's say that object is a solid wall. Okay, so um, 6 things can happen if that wave comes in contact with a solid object. And really, for this lesson, we're only going to be focusing in on reflection, but I do want to talk about 2 others because this kind of plays a role as well. Transmission means that it's going through the material. So that's like if a person's having a conversation in one room, the door is closed, but you can still hear the conversation in the other room. That's because the sound waves transmitted through the door. So transmission is traveling through the door. Okay. Now don't go too crazy writing notes. The next slide will have these in definitions that you could just copy or take a snippet of it. So don't go too wild and crazy trying to catch it right now. But transmission is if it goes through the material. It travels right through the medium. Reflection is the next one we'll talk about, and that's really the focus of this lesson. Reflection, so if that wave comes in contact with a solid object and it bounces off of it, that's reflection. We know that in everyday terms as an echo, if we're talking about a sound wave. If we're talking about a light wave, we're talking about reflection. That's like how I see myself in the mirror, you know. So reflection is when that wave comes in contact with that medium, that new medium, and it bounces off. And then the other one that we want to talk about is absorption. Absorption is if that wave comes in contact with that medium and that medium absorbs the energy, meaning that the wave does not travel through it. So that's like you're having a conversation in one room, but no one can hear that conversation outside of that room. That's because the walls absorb all of that sound. That's like if you were going to, I don't know how many of you guys watch shows or you've been to like a musical booth or someone's inside of a soundproof room, which I'll link a video to. The walls are foam and that foam absorbs the sound wave energy. So none of the sound escapes the room. None of the sound transmits through the walls. All of it is absorbed by the walls. If you live in an apartment building, you probably want to make sure your walls do not transmit sound. That would bug other neighbors, right? They'd be able to hear everything you did and vice versa. You probably don't want your walls reflecting sound because then you would have echoes all over the place. You probably want your walls to be made so that they absorb sound, meaning that it doesn't transfer through the wall.